Muscle Monday. Today, we're going to be talking about biceps brachii. So what do we know about this muscle? We know this muscle is made up of two bellies, the long head and the short head. This chunk on the lateral side of your arm is the long head, while the chunk on the inside of your arm is the short head. Let's quickly talk about the long head. You can see it originates over this bump right here, which is your humerus, goes in between your bicipital groove, and originates on the supraglenoid tubercle of the scapula, which runs down and inserts on the radial tuberosity. Now, the short head of the biceps has a different origin, but the same insertion as the long head. The short head originates on the coracoid process of the scapula. So they both start on the scapula, just in different places, but insert on the radius of the forearm at the same place. This muscle does three separate actions, one at the shoulder, one at the elbow, and one at the radial ulnar joint. At the shoulder, the biceps assists with elbow flexion, so bringing your arm forward in front of your body. At the elbow, the biceps does elbow flexion, so bringing your arm towards your shoulder. The radial ulnar joint, the biceps puts the arm into a supinated position, so your hand facing the ceiling. Ignoring the supination part, just because there's another muscle that's more than primarily the mover of supination called the supinator. What are the odds? But when we're looking at the shoulder, the biceps does the assisting movement of shoulder flexion, because we know anterior deltoid and the upper chest fibers are the primary movers of shoulder flexion. It assists with it, where most of the osteokinetic activity is down at the elbow. The primary mover of the elbow flexors, really only focusing on the elbow. There are groups of people who think you can isolate the long head versus the short head, or short head versus long head, by elbow positioning in front of the body or versus behind the body. Reality, it's not going to make a difference at all, just because the biceps originates on the same bone called the scapula. So if you put the scapula into a elevated position, it's going to stretch more of the muscle, versus going down into a depression, it's going to shorten it. So no matter what happens, the biceps is going to get stretched in any form at all. Long head gets stretched, the short head will get stretched too. Short head gets contracted, long head will get contracted too. So taking that into consideration, what's an exercise I recommend, an exercise I don't recommend, and a compound. Exercise I'm going to recommend is performing any form of a preacher curl, whether your elbow is in front of your body or to your side. As long as that humerus is stable and you have some sort of resistance down at the wrist or your hand, it's going to be plenty for a muscle stimulus of the biceps. An exercise that I'm not going to recommend is going to be doing a chin-up, because we know that it starts on the shoulder area and originates down at the forearm area. Doing a chin-up is going to provide an awkward position for the muscle. Yes, you're going to be using the biceps, but you're going to be running into the problem of antagonist inhibition. Your elbow is contracting. Because you're going into shoulder extension, you're going to be also putting this into a stretch. So it's really hard to stretch and contract the muscle. So because of antagonist inhibition, you're not going to get a great stimulus for muscle growth. Now, a compound I recommend